Deputy Opposition Leader Sussan Ley. Sussan, thank you so much for your time. Are they the options that you're currently canvassing?
It's a great analysis by Tom Connell, Erin, but it relies on the government actually sticking to its word. And unfortunately, with this liar in the lodge and 100 times the same broken promise, how do we know that what we're going to get is the analysis that Tom Connell has just done? How do we know it will be based on that? And I mean that in all seriousness, because he mentioned the $28 billion of bracket creep, and that wasn't talked about by the Prime Minister. It was uncovered by a journalist. We've then had several different positions by the Prime Minister with respect to a deal to be done with the Greens. So we don't know what's going to be presented to us. There's no draft legislation. We're all gathering in Canberra next week, though, and I know that it will be a hot topic, entirely based around the deceit, which all my colleagues are hearing all around the country. The first thing people are saying to them is, wow, what a breach of faith, what lack of trust, what extraordinary deceit. And I've put it bluntly, there's a liar in the lodge and can't trust a thing that he says.
So your leader, Dutton, says he won't stand in the way of lower taxes. So if you don't reject this, does that mean you agree that it was the right thing to do?
We don't agree with any Prime Minister who breaks his promises in such a brazen way. Of course, we want to see lower, simpler taxes. It's always been the Coalition's commitment, and our starting point is that Australians should receive the tax relief they were promised as a starting point, and they should receive no less than that. So it's not fair for this Prime Minister and all of his backbench and some of his front bench to stand at the last election and actually say the tax policy that you see now is the tax policy you will get. They've all participated in this outrageous lie. But our commitment is that we will look at it. We always look at legislation. We just don't know what it will contain, because I can't see the crossbench just waving this through, Erin, given the remarks that they have already made about changes they already want to see.
Have you heard rumblings of issues between Albanese and Chalmers?
Oh, look, that's in-house gossip. I don't pay much attention to it. I'm sure that there's a lot of tension within the Labor Party's party room, because I think there's some honourable people in there, and I think there's people with integrity who actually don't want to stand in front of their communities and admit that they have broken their word, the word they gave their bond at the last election along with their Prime Minister. So I expect there are tensions about that, because, you are talking about somebody who lied over 100 times. And if this was the plan all along, and I seriously suspect that it was, how much of a breach of faith is that, to repeat over and over that they are committed to something that they had every intention of breaking all the way through? The main point, though, and I want to say this to Australians who are watching, who are concerned, who are struggling with their household bills, who are battling with cost of living pressures, this is $15 a week, maybe 20 if you're lucky, and you don't get anything until July, and then you get it over 12 months.
Yeah.
It's just a drop in the ocean when it comes to the pressures that people are under. So don't for a minute think that this will deliver anytime soon the cost of living relief that is completely absent from the economic policy of this government. And while they're running around trying to make this all about us, they're verballing the opposition every single day, they're demanding that we commit to something that we haven't seen, when even the something that they are proposing doesn't take effect till the 1st of July. Meanwhile, I'm in Sydney, I've been in southwest Sydney, I've been across Perth and many parts in between. People are saying rents are going up, groceries are going up, electricity's going up. And what? $15 a week that you don't even get until July, and nothing in the meantime? How does that even work? How does that even compute?
Yeah, I'm thinking of the words polish a turd, but that's probably not appropriate. But it's not a lot. It's not going to make a huge amount of difference. Very quickly, over in the UK, a British politician has announced he's quitting politics after a number of death threats, including from a man who ended up murdering another politician. He has a large Jewish community and he's been very supportive of them. This is just sickening, and I know absolutely nothing new to you and your colleagues and everyone in public life.
It is sickening. It's always upsetting when you hear that. I love the fact that in Australia I can walk around at Sydney Airport, I can walk down the street completely unaccompanied, if you like, by anyone, but that's not always the case for all of my colleagues all of the time. We're very lucky here. We don't have quite the culture that we've seen in the UK and Europe around threats to personal safety. But in my mind, they're never that far away, and I love this country and I love the freedom we have, and I think that's one of the huge advantages of being a Member of Parliament, because if you can't walk freely around, then you can't hear directly from people about the things that concern them. And we don't ever want to be remote from our communities.
No,
but yes, it is a worry. And, Erin, you've had your share of abuse in time. I've had my share. It's something we have to manage, and to some degree we have to learn to live with.
Yeah, look, absolutely. And we are the lucky country. I couldn't agree with you more. Sussan Ley, thank you so much. Have a safe flight. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.